welcome to the channel, and welcome to this game of Grimdark Future, in which I'll be playing against myself. So I've got Ratmen Clans and Dwarf Guilds, and I'm quite excited for this one. And confession time, these models have been sat in my collection for years. Some of them include, so this chap at the front and the gun platform in the middle, I've had them for about 5 or 6 years, and yeah, I've only just finally got round to actually painting them. The others were sat on the shelf, built and primed, and basically just painted yellow for about 1.5 years. So yeah, it's taken me a while to get around to doing them, but now that they are painted, I really wanted to do a game with them. So random points number, it's 1125 points of Ratmen Clans using version 2.6 of the army book. And yeah, it's that random number because this is everything I've got at the moment, everything that I've got painted. There's a handful of other models that I haven't quite finished painting, and they don't quite make up a proper unit anyway. So yeah, these miniatures are from Mantic Games. They're from the Warpath and Dead Zone ranges, and they are Veermin models. But for the purposes of Grimdark Future, they are Ratmen Clans. Leading them, I've actually got 2 leaders. I've got a champion armed with a flamethrower, and he's also got the safety in numbers upgrade. So when the hero activates, I can pick 2 friendly units within 6 inches, and they get +1 to their next morale test rolls. And the other leader is over here, and he's a champion as well. He's armed with a sniper rifle, and he's also got the safety in numbers upgrade. The leader with the sniper rifle, while we're still on him, he's being accompanied by a squad of 5 weapon experts. In there we've got 2 with shred rifles, so these 2. We've got 1 with a flamethrower, the one in the middle, and the other 2 have got heavy flamethrowers. The other leader is being accompanied by, and I need to get this right because I always get the stalkers and the crawlers mixed up, he's being accompanied by stalkers, a squad of 10 stalkers. They're armed with pistols and close combat weapons. And there's a squad of 10 crawlers at the back in the middle. They are armed with carbines and close combat weapons. I've got 2 squads of rat ogres. One is close combat orientated and one slightly shootier. So the squad on the left of the screen towards the back, we've got 2 in there with twin combat drills and 1 with a heavy combat drill. And on the opposite side we've got slightly shootier ones. So one is armed with a heavy flamethrower and also has a combat drill, even though it's not modelled on him. For some reason the stat line in the army list lists him as having a combat drill as well. And the other 2 have got flamethrowers and combat drills. In the centre at the front we've got a great terror beast armed with claws, and we've also got an artillery gun in the middle with a super flamethrower, and that is 1125 points of Ratmen Clans. And going up against the Ratmen Clans, we've got 1125 points of Dwarf Guilds. Yeah, it doesn't look anywhere near as much as the rats, but again, for me that's thematic. It should be a big swarm of rats up against it's not the most elite force of dwarves. I could have gone super elite with you know, special combat suits, things like that, but I haven't. I've kept it. Yeah, I just fancied using this list. There's stuff in there that you won't have seen before from the other Dwarf Guilds game that I've played. So they are being headed up by a Dwarf Lord. He is armed with an assault rifle and a heat hammer, and he's also got the Guild Defender upgrade. So he and his unit get +1 when shooting. And speaking of his unit, he's being accompanied by a squad of 5 support dwarves. So dwarf support squad of 5. In there we've got 3 with heavy machine guns and 2 with heavy fusion rifles. For other infantry, I've got 2 identical squads of 5 dwarf warriors, and 1 dwarf in each squad has been upgraded with a missile launcher. Towards the back on the left, I've got a squad of 5 miners. One of them has got a drill platform, and one has got a fusion rifle, and the others are armed with burst pistols. In the centre at the back, I've got a dwarf walker with a heavy hammer and twin autocannon, and then finally at the back on the right, I've got an artillery piece with a quad machine gun. Now this is going to be interesting because every single model in this army has got the slow ability, so they're only moving 4 inches. Something I was quite surprised about with the rats, none of them have got the fast ability. I think you can give one of the leaders an upgrade ability which gives us a unit the fast keyword, but yeah, if you're saying that in most games Ratmen and similar are usually pretty nippy, I'm actually very surprised that Ratmen Clans don't get the fast ability, whereas elves do. The high elf fleets, most of these high elf fleets models, and I think the dark elf equivalent, they also get the fast keyword, but for whatever reason the rats don't. But hey ho, it is what it is. Right, let's go and check out the mission. Okay, so we're set up and the action is going to take place on this industrial area, and we've got 4 objectives. So one in more or less in each corner, well, corner of the centre maybe, but yeah, objectives 1 down here on the bottom left, 2 on the bottom right, 3 towards the top left, and 4 towards the top right. And as you can see, the Ratmen have deployed closest to me and the dwarves are deployed on the opposite side, and yeah, I wasn't sure what to do, so I put the biggest gun they've got in the middle. If in doubt, put the big thing in the middle. I think that might be a viable tactic, and I've screened around it with the smaller rats, and then yeah, we've got some big lines of fire, and the dwarves weren't afraid to put some of their stuff out in the open, like their big anti-horde artillery piece with a nice clean line of fire down the centre, and the dwarf walker can simply stomp down here, relatively confident in itself. 12 wounds with a 2-up save. We've got some dwarves dwarf warriors to support it. We've got the guild lord again with a decent fire arc down the centre with his heavy troops, his support dwarfs, and the other unit of dwarf warriors on the other side ready to march down this lane, and the miners are in reserve. But yeah, the rest of the Ratmen have kind of had to be a little bit sneaky. We've got one very bold leader here with his support weapons, his specialist weapons squad, and the rat ogres are being slightly more cautious, hiding behind the buildings. And over here we've got the great terror beast and the other unit of ogres as well. So the Ratmen won the deployment roll-off, so of course they get to go first, and they've started things off with this champion who has gone forwards into the lee of this industrial zone here, trying to keep himself out of the line of fire from the dwarves with his weapons experts. The unit of dwarf warriors near objective 3 have moved forwards onto objective 3, and the missile launcher is going to take a shot down at this unit of rat ogres with the drills. The dwarves are firing an anti-tank missile, and they'll get one shot that will hit on a 4, and that's a miss. The squad of crawlers have rushed forwards into some cover behind those big containers, those big silos, and I think I found a way to remember it with a bit of alliteration. So the crawlers have got the carbines. Yeah, I'll try and remember that, crawlers and carbines. Towards the top of the screen you can see the guild lord with his dwarf support squad, and they have advanced forwards. They're slow 4 inches so that they can draw a bead on this unit's stalkers at the bottom. Now they will get the benefit of cover, the stalkers, because the dwarfs can't see more than half of the unit. However, with the guild lord's ability, that kind of cancels out the cover, because it's -1 for the cover but +1 because of guild defenders. The heavy machine guns get 3 shots each, so that's 9, and the heavy fusion rifles get 1 shot each. The dwarf lord himself is out of range. Now the rats have only got a 5-up defense, so with the machine guns doing -1 and the heavy magma rifles doing -4, the rats will be saving on 6s regardless, and they've only got 1 wound each. So I'm just going to roll all the dice together. Now the dwarves are relentless, so that means any natural and modified 6s to hit generate extra shots. No extra hits, but extra shots. And they'll be hitting on 4s, as I say. They're naturally hit on 4s, -1 for cover, +1 because of the Dwarf Lord, Guild Lord. Let's take out the misses. That's a lot of misses. But 1 6. Nope. So only 3 hit. The rats are going to need 6s to save. None, so that's 3 dead rats. I'll be honest, that was quite unimpressive. And that unit of rats has then scampered forwards into the shadows. Well, not really shadows, it's quite broad daylight from the lighting. But that unit is scampered forwards again into some better cover. And before doing so, that leader used his safety in numbers ability to give his own unit and also the gun platform +1 to their next morale tests. And I've put a little white D6 with the 1 showing just to remind me of that, otherwise I'd probably forget. Having no eligible targets to shoot at because everything is now behind terrain pieces, the other unit of Dwarf Warriors has rushed forwards. They're 8 inches because they're still slow, and they're now on objective 4. The unit of Rat Ogres on the rat's left flank have rushed forwards again into the lee of a building for some cover. The dwarf artillery piece has edged forwards its 4-inch slow movement, and I didn't want to move it the full 8 inches because I didn't want to be in charge range of these rats hiding behind the corner. He knows they're there, he knows the scurrying is going on, he can hear the scratching and the scurrying, he's seen flits of movement darting across his field of vision. So he's just edged forward slightly, and yeah, we'll see what happens next turn. The rat's artillery gun has rushed forwards, again, get itself out of line of sight, and with a regular move it can only move 4 and it's only got an 18-inch range, so it wouldn't have been able to get the dwarf support squad in range. Equally frustrated at the lack of targets, the dwarf walker has also rushed forwards his full 8 inches, barreling down the street in search of prey. And with that, monstrous rats emerge from the shadows and dart towards objective number 2. That will be the end of turn 1. Very cat and mouse, with, appropriately enough, the rats feeling very much like the mice. So as we go into turn 2, the dwarves will get to activate first because they finished activating first in turn 1. For the first activation of turn 2, the Dwarf Warriors near objective 4 are going to shoot down at the Rat Ogres on the rat's right flank near objective 2. So start things off with an anti-tank missile. This will hit on a 4. That's a hit. This needs a natural 6 to save because it's AP3 and the Rat Ogres have only got a 4-up save. That's a fail, so that's a dead rat because it's deadly 3. And then we've got 4 assault rifles. These will hit on 4s, and that's only 1 hit. 4-up save, fails, so that's 1 damage through on one of the rats. As I say, they're tough 3, so one of them's got 2 left. In response, the Rat Ogres have advanced, and they're now going to shoot the flamethrowers at the Dwarf Warriors. Now there's a heavy flamethrower in there and a regular flamethrower. The only difference is the heavy flamethrower's got AP1, so I'll have to do them separately. We'll do the regular flamethrower first. This will hit on 4s. That's 3 hits. Dwarf Warriors have got a 4-up save. No, 3 fails, so that's 3 dead dwarves. And then the heavy one, everything missed. But the dwarves have now taken more than half a unit of casualties. They're down to 2 warriors left, which means they now need to take a morale check, which they fail, so they'll be pinned. Dwarf Walker has marched forwards and he's going to shoot at the Rat Ogres as well. I was thinking about going for the Great Terror Beast, but I want to try and force a morale test on the Rat Ogres. We'll get 4 shots with its twin autocannon. hitting on 3s. That's only one hit. It's AP2, so they need a 6 to save, and that's a save. Well, that didn't go according to plan for that walker. And in response to that, the Great Terror Beast has rushed forwards, getting in range for a charge next turn. The Guild Lord and his support squad have shuffled over to lend a bit of reinforcement onto Objective 4. And they're going to put all of their shots into the Great Terror Beast. They want to get that thing killed. And yeah, I'm going to give the Great Terror Beast benefit of cover because we're having to shoot past our own men, our own dwarves, to target it. So I'm going to do the 2 heavy fusion rifles first, because there's a chance these could one-shot it because they are deadly 6. So we're going to hit on 4s ordinarily, but cover makes it 5s, but the Guild Lord's ability makes it 4s again. And both miss. May as well do the Guild Lord's assault rifle next. That's a miss. Actually, that'd have been a hit because the Guild Lord has quality 3 up, not 4 up. And then 9 shots from the heavy machine guns. And if there wasn't cover, that would have made a huge difference. But only 4 hit. There is a 6, so that generates an extra shot, which still misses. But that's 4 hits. These are AP1, so this will be 3 up saves. And that's only 1 fail. So for all that I thought it was going to be overkill, that Great Terror Beast has only taken 1 wound from that. The Ratmen champion with the weapons experts has advanced round the corner and are going to shoot at the dwarves holding Objective 3. Now the regular flamethrower, which is that one there, is out of range, but everything else is in range. And I should have done this when it activated, but it makes sense for that champion to give his own unit the safety in numbers trait, so we'll get +1 to their morale test next time they take a morale test. We'll do the heavy flamethrowers first. There's 2 of them, they're 6 shots each, so 12 shots, and these will be hitting on 4s. With Relentless, just like the Dwarf support squad. Okay, so there's a fair few misses, but there's 3 6s there. So let's re-roll these 3. Right. So that's 2 extra hits, but those 6s that I've just rolled do not themselves generate extra shots. But that is 7 hits. These are AP1, so the dwarves need 5 to save. They save 3, so 4 go through. That's 4 dead dwarves. That'll leave the missile launcher. But we've still got 4 shots from shred rifles, again hitting on 4s, and 2 hits. One of them's a 6, so 3 hits. Now these are rending, so that 6 will need a 6 to save, which it does. But the other 2 are AP0, so 4s to save on the missile launcher. No, that's a dead missile launcher. So right here, right now, the Ratmen have cleared Objective 3. They've cleared the dwarf's right flank, their own left flank. And in response to seeing his brothers getting cut down on Objective 3, the dwarf artillery piece has trundled over towards Objective 3. And the rat ogres have rushed out of hiding, rushing towards Objective 3. The Ratmen artillery gun has trundled out from hiding. It's now in range of the dwarf support squad. And the super flamethrower gets 6 shots, which will hit on 4s. And that's 4 hits. These are AP2, so 6s to save. No, that is 4 fails, so 4 dead dwarves. They will need a morale check, and they will use the Guild Lord's quality for that, so they need a 3. Which they get, so they're not pinned. And I should have pointed out, in case it wasn't obvious, that the dwarves have got no more units to activate, so yeah, the rats can now act with impunity. This champion with the stalkers, they haven't got carbine, so they're the stalkers. he used his safety in numbers ability on the crawlers, and then he and his stalkers have rushed forwards now that that guild lord is feeling a bit more exposed because his retinue has been decimated substantially. Decimated the right word? I think decimated literally means you've lost 10% of your men, or is it you've only got 10% left? Don't know. And finally the crawlers have rushed around from out of hiding, again heading to try and catch that dwarf artillery unit in some kind of pincer movement, and that will be the end of turn 2. So again, going into turn 3, the dwarfs will get the first activation because they finished activating first. Right, let's take a look at how things lie at the halfway point of the game. There's one objective apiece being captured. Sorry, 2 objectives apiece being captured. 1? You know me by now, I can't count. So yeah, the 2 nearest me, nearest the rats deployment zone, are held by the rats, and the other 2 are held by the dwarves. And I'll be honest, it's not gone the way I expected it to. I expected the rats to be charging into a hail of dwarven gunfire, but so far the rats have lost 4 models, whereas the dwarves have lost 9. So yeah, definitely not going the way I expected. But I am impartial, I do love both of these armies equally. So let's see what the dwarves are going to do. They're certainly going to bring in their ambushers, the miners from ambush. The miners have ambushed in down near objective 1, and they're going to activate first. The drill platform is going to fire over at the rat artillery piece, and everything else is going to go into this weapons specialists pack of rats. Yeah, I had hoped that this magma rifle would be in range of the artillery gun as well, but it's not. So it's only got 12-inch range. So all the pistols and the magma rifle going into these weapon specialists. Going to start things off with drill platform. That gets 1 shot. It'll hit on a 4 against the rat artillery piece. That's a hit. It's AP4, so we need a 6 to save. That's a 5. It's deadly 6, so that's a dead artillery piece. That's going to be quite a sigh of relief to the rats. No, to the dwarves. It will be a scream of anger and despair from the rats. Anyway, burst pistols, 3 of them, 3 shots each, so 9 in total, going into the rats weapon specialists, hitting on 4s. Hope I can roll these dice where you can see them. But that is 4 hits. 4s to save. 3 dead rats. And then the fusion gun. Keep alternating between fusion and magma, so apologies. It's the one and the same. The actual name is fusion, but for some reason I keep calling them magma. That could be because it's the dead zone version of it, and that's what they are. They're dead zone models from Mantic's range. So yeah, hits on a 4, except it misses. But that is 3 dead rats, meaning the unit will have to take a morale test using the champion's quality, which is a 4, but because of the safety in numbers ability, it'll go off on a 3, like that. So they're not pinned. But the dwarves have at least taken out that rat artillery piece. From the centre, the stalkers are going to charge into the guild lord and the dwarf support squad. The stalkers get 2 attacks each with their close combat weapons, and they hit on 5s. And that's not great, that's only 3 hits. And the champion himself gets 2 attacks with his close combat weapon, but he hits on 4s. So that's 4 wounds gone through. Going to be saving on 4s. Well, it's interesting because you go by the defense of the majority of the unit, and the guild lord is defense 3, the dwarf warrior is defense 4. but I suppose we can't go by the Guild Lord's armour, because if he fails he'll die, and he can't die first because he's a hero with tough, so he has to die last. So I suppose we have to do 4-up saves, of which 3 fail, so that means the Guild Lord is on 1 wound left, because 1 will kill the last dwarf, and those 2 will take 2 out of the tough 3 on the Guild Lord. The Guild Lord can fight back. He gets 2 attacks with his heat hammer, hitting on 3s. That's 1 hit. No rending and no AP, so this will be a 5-up save, which they pass. And the Guild Lord will also need to take a morale test, and if they fail this, he'll be routed. So 3 up. Choose the right colour die, shall we? He's good. So he doesn't rout, but he is pinned. Back over near objective 3, the dwarf artillery piece has pulled back slightly to make sure he's out of charge range of those rat ogres, and has turned and is going to shoot at the oncoming Ratmen crawlers. The quad machine gun gets 12 shots, hitting on 4s. That was only 4 hits. That should have been 5 hits. For some reason I pulled out a 6 as a miss. -1, so saving on 6s. No saves, so that's 4 dead rats, but that's not enough to force them to take a morale test. Back over to objective 4, and the Great Terror Beast is going to charge the 2 remaining dwarf warriors that are currently pinned. Now, I made a little bit of a mistake. I meant to give this guy scythes, and that's a 10-point upgrade, which would give him impact 3, but that would have made it 1135, not 1125 points, and I worked out the doors as 1125, and it's less than 1% in the grand scheme of things. But I think in all fairness, I'm just going to say, because it is an upgrade, I forgot to give it to him, so he doesn't get it. He still gets 4 attacks, hitting on 4s. That's only 1 hit. AP1, so this will be a 5-up save for the dwarves, which they fail, so 1 more will die. The last remaining dwarf will get to fight back. 1 attack, and because he's pinned, he can only hit on a 6, and he doesn't. So they've lost that melee, which means they need to take a morale test, but because they are pinned, they will automatically fail the morale test, so that last dwarf with the missile launcher is going to rout. And that means that the Great Terror Beast can then consolidate 3 inches onto the objective. Just to clarify, the Great Terror Beast gets 3 attacks for its claws and 1 attack for its stomp, and they're all resolved at AP1. That's why I did them all together as 4 attacks. But now, the Dwarf Walker, realising the predicament that his force is in, is going to charge the Great Terror Beast. It gets 4 attacks with its heavy hammer, hitting on 3s. That's 3 hits. He's at AP2, so forced to save. That's 3 fails, that's 1 damage each. And that thing should have taken a wound already. So it's down to 4. It's lost 4 wounds, it's got 2 wounds remaining. I didn't put an injury dice on it. But the Walker also gets 2 stomp attacks, hitting on 3s. 1 hits. And this is AP1, so 3-up save, which saves. But yeah, the Great Terror Beast has only got 2 wounds left. Let's quickly put a die on there so we remember. So it's taken 3 wounds in this melee. It can now fight back, but because it's already fought this turn, it's going to hit on 6s. Nothing. However, it does have fear, so it counts as having inflicted additional D3 wounds for 2, but the Walker also has fear, which inflicts 1. So the Dwarf Walker has taken 2 effectively. The Great Terror Beast has taken 3, plus an extra 1 makes 4. So yes, the Great Terror Beast does in fact lose that melee. So it needs to take a morale test on a 4-up, which it fails, so it's routed. So that stoic old warrior in the walker, in the ancient combat suit, manages to repulse one of the main threats, but there's still more to come. The rats are relentlessly keeping up the pressure. Those rat ogres with the flamers have advanced. The heavy flamer is going to shoot first, but they're both targeting the dwarf walker. So this will hit on 4s. That's 4 hits. AP 1 to 3s to save. And that is 1 wound taken on the walker. And then the 6 from the regular flamer. 3 hits. Saving on 2s. No, it's good. So 1 wound taken on the walker. It's tough 12, so it's got 11 wounds left. The champion with the weapon specialist has activated. He's given himself and also the rat ogres, which are slightly off camera, his safety in numbers ability, so they both get +1 to their next morale checks, and the unit has turned and is going to shoot at the miners that have just ambushed in. The 2 weapon specialists that are left have both got heavy flamers, so we'll start with 12 shots from the heavy flamers, hitting on 4s with relentless. No 6s. It's AP 1, so 6s to save for the miners. They make 1, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fails, means that's the miner squad wiped. All the dwarves can do is remove the pin on their guild lord, and then the rat ogres have rushed forward onto objective 3, and then the last activation of the turn, the crawlers are going to shoot at the dwarf artillery piece. 1 shot a piece with their carbines, hitting on 5s. That's 3 hits. Saving on 2s. No, they'll save. So at the end of turn 3, it's really not looking good for the dwarves. They've got 3 models left, and one of them is very badly injured, their guild lord, and there is a skittering, chittering tide of yellow-clad rats swarming towards them. They've only got 1 objective left. The rats are on 3. I don't think they'll be able to hold out in turn 4, but you never know. Let's find out together, shall we? I think it's all over for the dwarves, but they are a naturally stubborn race and they're not going to go down without a fight. Starting off with the artillery gun, it has reversed so that it's contesting objective 3 and it's going to shoot at the rat ogres. It's theoretically possible to wipe them out, but I think the reality is we might be lucky if we force them to take a morale test. 12 shots, hitting on 4s. Okay, half of them hit, so we're not going to wipe them out, but at least that's statistically average. AP 1, so 5 up saves, because they've got 4 up save. And that is 1, 2 dead rat ogres. They now need to take a morale test, which they get +1 to because of safety in numbers. But for now we're going to kill... Ooh, what's the better choice? Twin combat drills or heavy combat drill? I think we'll take off the heavy and one of the twins and leave one of the twins. So 3 up morale test, which is passed. And that's quite important for the rats. It's a bit of a shame for the dwarves. For the rats' first activation, The two rat ogres over on the other side are going to charge the dwarf walker. Each one has a combat drill, even though only one's modelled with one. So that's 6 attacks, hitting on 4s. That's 3 hits. These are AP2, so saving on 4s. 2 saves, so that's only 1 wound taken on the walker. Fighting back, the walker gets 4 attacks with his heavy hammer, hitting on 3s. That's only 2 hits. Saving on 6s. Nope, so that's a dead rat ogre. The remaining one, they definitely lost that combat, even with fear, or even without fear. So the remaining one will have to take a morale test on a 4 up. Which it passes, but it is pinned. Oh, wait, I forgot 2 stomp attacks. Both hit. That would have been a 5 up save, so 1 goes through. So the only difference means that, yeah, that rat ogre has taken 1 more wound. It won't make any effect on the morale test. Now, because the walker's already fought in combat, it will now only be hitting on 6s if it charges those stalkers. So it's going to shoot at them instead. 4 shots hitting on 3s. 3 hit. 6s to save. Nope, that's 3 dead rats. We'll take off that one, and that one. Now that puts the unit below half strength, which is quite important because we now need to take a morale test for the rats, which will be a 3+ because of safety in numbers from the champion. But they pass it, and that's important because if they'd have failed that, it means they're in danger of being charged by the guild lord and getting wiped out because they would be pinned, and that means they would automatically fail a morale test, assuming that he did more damage in combat. But it does now mean that those remaining stalkers can charge the guild lord. 8 attacks from the stalkers, hitting on 5s. 4 hits. 2 from the champion, hitting on 4s. They're successful. I also meant to activate his safety numbers for him and also the rat ogre. But anyway, that's 6 hits go through on the guild lord. He gets 3 up save. He fails 2, he falls. And the rats consolidate onto objective 4. This last remaining rat ogre over here is going to charge the artillery. Now we could end it here actually, because there's no way now the dwarves can win. But at the moment this objective is being contested, so the rat is going to try and take it off. So he gets 6 attacks hitting on 4s. No, that's only 2 hits. AP2, so 4 up saves. 1 pass, 1 fail. So the artillery piece takes a wound. It's toughness 6, it's got 5 left. However, it lost the combat. It needs to take a morale test, which it passes on a 6. Rat ogre falls back out of combat. The weapons experts have advanced. They're going to shoot their heavy flamers at the artillery. So 12 shots hitting on 4s. 6s generate extra shots, of which there are 4. So 7 hits in total. He's a -1, so 3s to save. Fails 2. So it's down to half health. And now the champion's actually going to get a chance to fire his sniper rifle. He gets 1 shot. which hits. AP1, so 3-up save, which fails. So it's down to 2 wounds left, and it's already pinned as a result of the melee, so it just remains pinned. However, it is now getting charged by the crawlers. I should have said, when the rat ogre was in combat with it, it didn't fight back. The artillery didn't fight back because it hasn't got any close combat weapons, so it can't fight back. Just nudge the camera. So the crawlers get 6 attacks, hitting on 5s. That's only 1 hit, but it saves. And it can't do any damage back again, and it's taken no damage, so it's not in danger of failing its morale test and automatically routing. But that is all units now activated, so that is the end of turn 4. So at the end of turn 4, the dwarves do not hold any objectives. Objective 4 is contested by the rats and the dwarf walker. Objective 2 remains held by the rats. Objective 1 is held by the rats, and Objective 3 is held by the rats because the artillery piece is pinned and therefore cannot contest an objective. There's only 2 dwarf models left on the battlefield. One of those is very badly damaged. So yes, I think this is a comprehensive defeat for the dwarves at the hands of the Ratmen Clans. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it'd go down that way. I expected the rats to get gunned down in short order. Yeah, I think this unit in particular was very strong. The rat weapon specialists, yeah, they did a lot of work. And yeah, I was quite impressed with these guys as well. They did a fair amount of damage. But yeah, having plenty of line of sight blocking terrain so that they can hide and then get into charge range, I think made a big difference. And shooting rolls failing for the dwarf heavy weapons team, I think that that had a big impact as well. But the other thing is this +1 to morale tests, that helped out several times for the rats. So I think that made a big difference, and being able to put it on 2 units and it stays there until they have to take a morale test, that's really strong, I think. But yes, that was my first game of Grimdark Future for 2022. I've got several more planned, at least 3 more planned. But yeah, I'm constantly getting ideas, I'm constantly collecting more miniatures and adding to armies. So yeah, there will be more to come, most definitely. I hope you enjoyed that. Just to reiterate again that both of these model ranges are from Mantic Games, from their Warpath and Dead Zone ranges. So the Veermin and the Forgefather models. The terrain, most of it was made by me. There's the odd bit of Mantic terrain as well, from their Terrain Crate ranges and Warpath and Dead Zone ranges. And most of the terrain is inspired by techniques from Wylock's Armory, which I'm sure everybody who watches my channel is very much aware of Wylock. Because probably like me, you discovered Grimdark Future from Wylock. I could be wrong, but if you haven't checked out Wylock's Armory yet, please do check him out. Also check out Alrathian. He's a very nice chap, very complimentary of my videos, so thank you very much, Alrathian. You'll find his channel through a quick search, but I've also affiliated his channel with mine. So if you look under the channels tab on my channel, you'll find his channel linked as well. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Please continue to like, comment and subscribe, and until next time, God bless.